you believe in fate? If you're wondering why I'm starting with a question like this, it's probably because when you're faced with times where the uncertainty factor weighs so heavy, any attempt to make sense of it all often turns to questions of fate and predestination. Ever since the COVID 19 pandemic hit us, we have not had a normal life. Like sports disciplines around the world, Indian football has also faced an immense fallout. The I League season could not be completed and Second Division League got postponed. The Under 17 Women's World Cup got postponed to next year, and even the AFC Cup got cancelled, and Chennai City FC lost out on their chance to represent India at the continental level, which is a rare opportunity that they had earned for the very first time in their history. It has been over 300 days since the national team was last seen in action, and it's the biggest gap in the modern era. The 2020-21 season is going to be anything but a normal one, with no fans and central venues for both I-League and ISL. What do you turn to when the most basic thing about football, which is getting people together in one place to play, becomes unsafe? Of course, we are going to see the so-called bio bubbles being used in the leagues, but these are expensive to make and very hard to maintain, and the margin for human error is so little that you almost have to assume there will be issues. Look at the prominent sports bubbles we have seen around the world, whether it's in English football, American basketball, or the ones used by the UFC and IPL in the Emirates. Every single one has had people coming in and then testing positive. Now, the bubbles with better systems caught the cases early and prevented them from spreading to others. But the ones that have not been so good led to multiple members of a team being infected and matches being cancelled. And that's just the systemic side of things. Human error is actually an even bigger issue. The American NFL has had cases of players breaking quarantine rules, and those are just the ones that got caught. Quarantine measures are tough on people in many ways, more on that later. But the reason I'm saying all this is we do not have the luxury of taking anything for granted. That goes for the organizers, the players, the staff, and even the fans. The Second Division League is less than a month away from starting, and we are eagerly waiting for competitive football to return. But then again, the challenges that AIFF, FSDL, and IFA are facing are astronomical. Kolkata is an extremely congested city, and it's very difficult to maintain a safety bubble here for months. So, when I try to think about how smoothly things are going to go, luck or fate always ends up being a factor. So, do you believe in it? Of course, in times like this, we have to take the little good news we have with gratitude. East Bengal's inclusion in the ISL, for example. What the club officials have pulled off here is a big deal. And whether or not you agree with the amount of political intervention that happened to bring East Bengal and Sri Cement together, you have to admit that this is a massive net positive for ISL and Indian football as a whole. And you have to wonder if the political mobilization would even be necessary if there was not a pandemic going on. Would East Bengal get an investor much earlier if the economy had not taken such a huge hit due to COVID-19? Probably. On the other hand, could East Bengal have made such a late entry into ISL if the pandemic had not forced FSDL to hold it in a centralized venue? In normal times, adding 20 more matches result in massive additional transport of people and equipment over hundreds of miles across the country. This time, that's not the case. Did that help East Bengal's cause? Chances are, yes, it did in a way. Funny how things turn out. But the bottom line is, we are going to see East Bengal and Mohun Bagan face off this season. The fans won't be there, but the fact that we are getting our derbies at a time when even CFL has been postponed and there's no guarantee it will happen at all, I'll call that a win for the fans. Sometimes we face a situation where even being there and moving forward is a victory, and that's what has happened. The Kolkata derbies did not stop during wars, famines, and terrible political unrest. In fact, the derby has become a fitting stage for the people's political expression multiple times. So now, the derby and all other football matches are a symbol of hope for all of us. The fact that they can happen even now tells us that we can get back to normal. We can get through this if we try. Getting through the whole season without mishaps, perhaps, will be tough. Let's go through the protocol for a safety bubble. Even before the players, staff, and others reach their designated hotel, they go through regular tests and possibly 2 weeks of isolation. Provided they follow these measures and their tests come out negative, they are allowed to enter the bubble in the team hotel. Now, the whole squad and staff are kept in isolation in that hotel. They are not allowed to go outside, even meet people from outside. They get fitness services like gym, pools, and other equipments inside the hotels, and the hotel staff that serve them also follow the same protocol. For the players, it becomes a very regimented and limited life. They can go from hotel to practice ground back to the hotel to stadium, and from there back to the hotel. Now imagine that for 3 or 4 months, not seeing your family or friends, just living with the team and going to stadium and practice ground. That's it. They can't even go out for a walk or visit the market. It's tough, especially for players who are usually very outgoing people. Of course, they are professionals and they will do it, but what will be the psychological impact of such a prolonged quarantine? And how will that affect their performance? Will dressing room and bubble atmosphere become a key factor in a team's success this season? We are already hearing some issues are propping up with teams not being allowed to stay in the hotels of their choice because it did not make for a good quarantine spot. What if that becomes a factor in how they perform in the league? These are pertinent questions, but we don't even have answers to them right now. This is uncharted territory. Everybody is learning on the job. However, one thing that almost every player is saying is that even staying isolated for months is preferable if that means they get to play. We have not had competitive football in India since Neroka played Chennai City on 14th of March. Players are not supposed to be on a break this long away from their team. They depend on regular game time to maintain themselves and grow as athletes. They are in a competitive and risky career, and staying in competition is crucial to their sense of job security. None of the players in ISL or I League have faced a situation like this where for months they have not known when they will play the next game since they first joined a proper academy as a teenager. That's how unprecedented the current situation is. Or wait, actually, it's not that unprecedented. The situation the players are facing now due to the pandemic is actually the norm for their colleagues in women's football. Here's what Gokulam Kerala FC's Yumnam Kamala Devi had to say about the typical season a female player goes through in normal times when there's no pandemic or anything like that going on.
एक ही टूर्नामेंट हो रहा था पहले, सिर्फ सीनियर नेशनल. हम लोग सिर्फ सीनियर नेशनल वेट कर करके थक जाते हैं हर प्लेयर, जैसा प्रैक्टिस करना भी पड़ता है कई, और टाइम भी फिक्स नहीं करते हैं. मतलब एआईएफ को ब्लेम नहीं कर रही हूँ, ऐसा ही एक ही टूर्नामेंट हो रहा है तो हम लोग को वेट करने में बहुत तकलीफ भी होता है. और प्रैक्टिस फिटनेस लेवल तो ऐसा ही रहना है. और अचानक गेम करते हैं उसी समय, और अचानक सब टूर्नामेंट होते रहते हैं. हम लोग एक फोकस आ गया कि चलो IWN आने वाला है, तो इतना शौक भी हुआ. चलो एक टूर्नामेंट बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, मतलब एक साल के अंदर एक टूर्नामेंट, फिर एक टूर्नामेंट आ गए. तो हम सभी लोग, मैं नहीं, हर बंदे, हर प्लेयर वुमेन्स फुटबॉल इतना शौक हो गया कि खेलूंगी सब. मतलब हर प्लेयर की दिन में ऐसा हो रहा है, चलो IWN जैसा लड़का की जैसा होने वाला है लड़की कभी, तो हम लोग कभी थोड़ा ये फोकस मिलेगा कि इंडिया जो जूनियर प्लेयर है वो लोग भी सोचते हैं कि इंडिया टीम में चले जाओ एक बार ट्राई देने के लिए. सब मन से ऐसा सब खेलने लगी और खेली भी थी, और सबने अच्छा लगा. मतलब ऐसे में जैसा कि और टूर्नामेंट होना चाहिए कि नया प्लेयर निकलने के लिए, जो जूनियर प्लेयर अभी तो जो बहुत स्मार्ट है जूनियर प्लेयर लोग भी, जो भी अभी जूनियर प्लेयर आ रहे हैं हम लोग से भी ज्यादा स्मार्ट है. तो मुझे लगा ये टूर्नामेंट अच्छा है वुमेन्स के लिए, और टूर्नामेंट जैसा लड़का लोग कर रहे हैं मेरे ख्याल से.
अभी तो आपका IWL हो गया, तो अगला आपका कौन सा टूर्नामेंट है अभी आपके लिए पर्सनली?
अभी फिलहाल तो कुछ टूर्नामेंट नहीं है. फिर हम लोग वेट करना पड़ेगा सीनियर नेशनल रेलवे के लिए, हम लोग वेट करना पड़ेगा.
तो फिर अभी
इसलिए मैं चाहती हूँ कि और टूर्नामेंट, मतलब कम से कम एक साल में सिर्फ दो नहीं 3-4 करने से जूनियर प्लेयर भी बहुत निकलेगी और एक्सपीरियंस भी और ज्यादा बढ़ेगी जूनियर प्लेयरों का और सीनियर का भी. और मैं चाहती हूँ और ज्यादा कम से कम 3-4 होने चाहिए टूर्नामेंट. थक जाते हैं हम लोग वेट कर करके टूर्नामेंट वेट कर.
It's a bit ironic, isn't it, that in India, men's football during a once in a century pandemic feels exactly like women's football in normal times. But it's not about finding faults right now. In fact, given how most sports are suffering in India right now, football has done extremely well. For that, the credit goes to AIFF and their commercial partners FSDL, who have not only kept up the level of investment in the sport but actually increased it to spend on COVID safety measures. When most of the football world is dealing with budget cuts and reduced salaries for everyone involved, Indian football is carrying on as usual, and that's due to the deep pockets of FSDL. There are many things FSDL can be criticized for, but this season, during the pandemic, they have gone all out to keep the ball rolling, so to speak, and that needs to be recognized and applauded. Had they not been so proactive to adjust the sport to the new reality, which by the way is way more difficult than smaller scale sports like badminton, tennis, wrestling, kabaddi, or boxing, we may have lost out on the whole season. As I said, we cannot take football for granted and we should be thankful to have what we have right now. Hopefully, the season will go smoothly. Hopefully, we'll even get a vaccine before the season is over and our lives will start to return to normalcy. Hopefully. But there are long term impacts of this pandemic that Indian football will feel for years to come. A long gap is especially devastating for the development of young players. The time that our youth players have lost, they will not get back. Most of the academies are closed and players have been sent home. That means they may not be getting the proper diet they need. Along with playing and training, they may also be losing out on maintaining health. For some, this may be career ending, and even those who come back will be at a disadvantage to their peers in countries where the pandemic has had less impact and the players got to return to their academies earlier. The development cycle of a player is an intensive, intricate process, and such a long interruption in that cycle is going to be tough to deal with. But that's an issue we'll have to face when the time comes, because right now, long term plans are a luxury. Who knows what world we will be living in 1 month later? Anyway, I don't mean to be such a downer. When I start recording this podcast, in most cases, I don't really know where it will end up. I have a vague outline I have in my head, but mostly it's about just going on with the flow. And to my relief, I got to do that with the former Aizawl FC head coach Paulo Menezes. He's in Portugal and he talked about how the COVID-19 has affected football over there. And he talked about how his time in Aizawl was and his experience in Mizoram Premier League and the I League, and also shared his thoughts on how clubs like Aizawl FC can follow a path to develop. So let's listen in.
How is it going, coach, now that you're back home and everybody's going through this pandemic and everybody's how's the situation where you are?
Okay, I am in Portugal right now because I come back to my home. In my opinion, it's better to stay near the family during the quarantine, you know. So here in Portugal, the situation it's not so bad because we have a lot of rules. The people follow the rules with a big discipline, you know. The government, had put a good rules, a good restrictions, no, and step by step the situations coming back there. So I take my time to study football, to watch a lot of games, to talk with a top head coach, to watch a lot of conference about football, about Monaco head coach, about the Shakhtar Donetsk head coach and another head coach, you know, because they are Portuguese. Not well, from Monaco it's not anymore, but in the past Leonardo Jardim. So I try to make like a big reflection about my work the last seasons, about Aizawl FC, about my last team here in Portugal, to make me better as a head coach, you know. So I take a good time with family. I practice sports. I only make a good things.
Has the lockdown affected the local league and other competitions that were happening in Portugal, and when do you think it's going to get back to normal over there?
Yeah, of course. This situation it was not good to Portugal and to another countries. I think India the same, right? Uh, because
Yeah,
here in Portugal left 10 games to finish the first league, so affected the final of the league. When the last 6-10 games many times deciding the many things, deciding
yeah,
who win the league. We have also the final of the cup in Portugal, against
yeah,
between Benfica against Porto, uh, and the decision to go, who to go to the Champions League, who to go to the Europa League, who to go regulate, so
yeah.
the big decisions affected, of course. But here in Portugal, only the first league will finish. The government, the federation suspended the second league, the third division, don't play anymore.
It is safe to say that there's been a pretty comprehensive approach from the government to get footballers back into the training camps safely, and it's working.
Yes, the government don't allow the crown to go to the stadiums. You understand? Uh,
Yeah,
you know, if you allow the people go to the stadiums, I think it's not good to the situation. It's not safe, right now. So the many people don't understand, but I think it's the best decision, in my opinion. The people becomes crazy in the good sense, in the good sense, because
mm.
it's about emotion, it's about passion, so it was impossible to keep the distance for sure. So it's a good decision from the government.
So now that you are, you just had some time to sit at home, connect with your family, and just reflect on the last couple of seasons, much of which you have spent in India. Now, does it feel a bit surreal that you were there teaching, sorry, you were coaching in Portugal, and suddenly you got a call from one of the most unique clubs in Asia to come and be the head coach, and you came, and it was it was special in many ways. It was a very important landmark season for the club. So, how did that happen? And how did you find the club when you first arrived? Were you surprised, or was it exactly what you expected?
In that time, I was in Madrid to study the license coach, the first level. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh, and the last summers after Aizawl FC experience, I got the two biggest coach license in Madrid, in Spain also. Okay, so
yeah,
I am better prepared now, like a head coach.
mm,
But in
yeah,
that time, I contacted one football agent from Singapore, and the football agent um, liked my CV, and he sent to the Aizawl FC board, and we
yeah,
started like that. They asked me a few questions about the football, about my my knowledge about the India culture and about Indian football, and we
mm,
started to negotiate, and it was like that. It was like very fast, very fast. Few days, because I sent my projects, my game model, my methodology to the board, and they liked my
yeah,
philosophy, my methodology, and we started to negotiate. Basically, it was like that. How you asked me how I fund the club? How
yeah,
um, I don't like to talk about this like a excuse, but after the experience, I need to say one thing, important thing. during the experience, I didn't talk like this, like excuse. I just try to focus in my players, in my team, in my work, and I try to get the maximum performance from the team, from the players, you know. But of course, after the experience, I made I made a big reflection of the work and about the situation, and of course my opinion. I don't want that you or the people that listen this interview think about excuse. No, it was not excuse. Just to say my opinion. Okay, Aizawl FC won the championship the season before when I arrived, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But after this, they lost eight players, 8K players. Just Alfred, the captain, the Alfred stayed from the first 11. Okay, so imagine you remember Leicester, because it's not good. It's not easy to make comparisons, but imagine Leicester when won the league in the England. They lost just 2 players, you know, just 2 players. But Aizawl FC lost 8 players. It's too much. And they decided to promote 8 young players from academy, you know. So as a head coach, it's a big challenge to defend the title. But if you lose 8 players and try to make better, to help the young players, 8 young players, it's much bigger challenge, you know. Was a good challenge. It was not an excuse. It was a good challenge, because I don't know if you remember, but many people say to me, still saying to me nowadays, that my team played the best football in that season. The offensive game, a good style, attractive football, you know. So the young players gave to me a big work to help them to develop, to grow up. But it was not easy, you know. You can help them to develop. You can help them to grow up. But in the big games where you decided, for example, against East Bengal, against Mobombagan, against Minerva, against Naroka, the experience it's very important, you know. If you play against teams, against experienced players, of course the young players, you understand my thinking, you know.
Yeah.
So but was a good experience, because in the Mizoram Premier League we reached the final. We gone to the final. So with a very young team, you got to the final. In the I League, we can got to the 5th position. It was not so bad, because imagine after me, the club almost regulated 2 times. You understand? So it's a small club. It's a small club. So the 5th position after losing so big names, 8 players. So it was not so bad. And in the Champions League, in the AFC Champions League, we did a big performance. We did a very good game against a big team in the Champions League in Iran. So I think was a good work from my side, from my staff, from the club, from the players. Everybody contribute with a good performance. But of course, the expectations I think was so big, because it was the champion of the I League. But the new reality, it's like that. It's not excuse, but it's like that. Imagine, I talked about the collective results, but if you if you remember the individual results, we helped a lot of players to get a better contracts in the bigger clubs, in Super League, in Die League. For example, Avilash, the goalkeeper, gone to the Atletico, cut to Super League. I remember the Avilash comes to me, make a trial with me, and comes from second division of I League, second division, and became one of the best goalkeepers in the I League. And I remember Avilash grow up a lot with us, a lot. The right back, Diliana, comes from the Mizoram Premier League without experience, like Avilash, and gone to the Super League. Putea, the midfielder, 18 years old, like Diliana, gone to the Northeast Super League. So many players got a good experience with us, grow up a lot with us. And I remember many players didn't get a good contract from Mizoram, from Mizoram, but they did the best season. I remember William, the striker, he got eight goals with us, and the season before was not in the first 11. You know, I remember MKA gone to the FC Goa to the Super League after 3 or 4 months with us, and the season before was not in the first 11. You remember? So many players without experience, many players comes from academy, many players was not in the first 11 the season before, and got a high performance with us. So was not to my merit, you know, was not my merit. Of course not. The first thing was merit of them, of the players, because they training hard, they play hard, you know. Of course, the board has merit too. It's true. All staff to support our work. But I think was a very good experience, and I tell many times to my ex players, I miss a lot India, I miss a lot the people, I miss a lot I League. Many players asked me to come back. Many players contacted me almost all weeks to talk with me. So was good. Look, even the fans of East Bengal and Mobomagan, mostly the Mobomagan and East Bengal, wrote me many times to come back to coach the Mobomagan and East Bengal, because I think they saw a good work from my side. You understand? They like my style my style, the style of the team, of course. They talk a lot in Facebook and Instagram to me to come back and coach the East Bengal and Mobomagan, and these things make me happy, of course, because I feel very good with these elogies, you know.
It's obviously been a while, and you have even though it ended abruptly, but you did gain a lot of experience from it. I mean, you were exposed to a level of football that you were not before as a coach, but starting up with the club, you were coaching the side in Mizoram Premier League and the other cup tournaments that were happening early in the season back in Mizoram. And the environment in which the matches were being played was pretty different from anything you expect in most mainstream football places, right? The AstroTurf, the stadium in the middle of a hill, and just the clouds coming in and disrupting the matches sometimes. But you did pretty well to, even though you were exposed to a style of football that you may not have experienced before, you did well to keep your composure and steer the team in the right direction. But how surprised were you when you saw this entirely different flavor of football that was happening in Mizoram Premier League?
It's true. It's a good question. my friend, it's a very good question because in this time in the pandemic situation, I did a lot of conferences, you know, to the other coach, to another people, and they asked me about the game model adapted in the different context realities. You know, when I started the Mizoram Premier League, I saw that maybe 8% of the teams played like directly, you know, direct football, you know, long pass and second ball, you know, long pass and second ball. Yeah. And when I started to see that, in some time, I saw the Mizo players with a very good skills, you know, a talented player, technical level, very good. And I talked with my staff. I told them, look, I think our team and another teams with another Mizo players called to play a better football, like a ball possession, build up from goalkeeper, you know, a collective game, not just long pass and second ball, and to control the game and to dominate the opponent better. I tried to put in practice in the Mizoram Premier League this style, you know, to touch the ball, to build from the goalkeeper, to play the wide and the deep, you know, to play between lines, to give several options, and with this style, we called to create a lot chance to score in the Mizoram Premier League, you know, and without the ball, a high press, you know, high press when you lose the ball, fast press, aggressive in the good way, aggressive in the ball, you know, and with this style, without ball, we didn't allow the opponent to create a lot of chance to score against us. So, and the first 5-6 games was so hard, you know, because I didn't have like a pre-season with 5 or 6 weeks to prepare the Mizoram Premier League. In my opinion, if you decide to give them a new game model, to give them a new methodology to develop the team, to develop the players, to help them to develop, you need time. But I didn't have time. But okay, no problem. The first 6 games, it's true, we played well, but we committed a lot of mistakes, and sometimes that mistakes was like goal against. You understand? So after 5 or 6 games, we started to win games and we reached the final. It was very good. Yeah. Because the team that won the Mizoram Premier League had the best and the most experienced players in Mizoram, no doubt. Many people said the same to me. Diliana and another player was in the Chiranjit FC, and we got these 2 players to play with us the I-League. Was a good signing, and they in the middle of the Mizoram Premier League, they got 22 games without lose the Chiranjit, and in the middle of the Mizoram Premier League, we won to Chiranjit 2-0, and we broken this record. But many people don't know this record because Chiranjit won and draw 22 games, and we broken this record in the middle of the Mizoram Premier League. So was a good experience, and was hard in the beginning. How I told you, but after 5 or 6 games, we started to play better. We started to have more confidence, and was good adaptation. The players loved the way how we prepared the games. The players still tell me nowadays was a very good methodology. The game model was very good, and I think the players grow up a lot with this kind of the methodology. I don't know if I answered you to your question.
No, I understand that the whole adjustment process that happened between you and the players, and the style you wanted to implement with the team. That must have taken time, and the whole throughout the Mizoram Premier League season, the whole practically local league season was probably your experimental phase where you were setting up the team for the national level. And I think I met you and talked to you during the Mizoram Premier League, and you were slowly getting your bearings together and getting the team on a good streak. But you were yet to experience the I-League football at that time, and so we did not talk about that. But one of the things that I've heard from other coaches who have coached in Mizoram as well is that they get used to this very industrial style of football, or industrial way of playing the game that sometimes the other teams force you to do in that small stadium. From there, within a few weeks' time, you have to switch to an entirely new environment. If you're going down to, let's say, Kolkata, or you're going down to Goa, or somewhere else, Kerala, where you're not playing on a turf anymore, you're playing on much wider grounds, and it's a proper grass stadium, and you're facing a team that's playing an entirely different level and style of football. That is quite a jolt, because you're playing back-to-back games in MPL, and suddenly you go to I-League, and it's a completely different scenario out there. Did you experience that sudden shift in momentum that going from MPL to I-League brings, and how was the adjustment for you in that?
Yeah, it's true. It's different. It's very different, because in the MPL they play I told you, direct football, long balls and second ball, and in the I-League it's different. The teams play more football. The teams present a good style, and you must adapt. But the general principles of our game, of our model game, we could not to change, because makes part of your identity. We faced a big problems in the I-League just to score, because in the 70% of the games, even playing in the other stadiums, playing away, we controlled the game. We created more and better chance to score. But we faced the same problem in the Mizoram Premier League. We created. We controlled the game, but we could not to score. The statistics to create the chances was not so good when you watch the results. But the most important, in my opinion, and many top coaches say the same, the most important is the process. If you cannot create a chance to score, maybe it's a problem. If you cannot reach the opponent area with a good quality in the offensive organization, if you don't present a good football, collective football, to reach the opponent area and to create problems to them, maybe it's a problem. That was not the case. You know, we reached a lot of times the area of the opponents. We created a lot of chance to score. So the work as a head coach was well done. You understand? So But we have a big problem with the score. But you know, to score a lot of chance, we need a lot. You need big players in front of the attack. You understand?
So you believe if you had a couple of experienced forwards, let's say the forwards from last season, if they had still stayed with you and you could have availed their better finishing abilities, you could have had a much better show in I-League?
No doubt. Because all coaching here in Europe, we feel the same. Imagine the 3 parts of the field, right? The 3 parts of the field, in the field. It's the responsibility of the coach. With the collective dynamics, you understand? To reach the opponent box, the opponent area. But in the last part of the field, what I mean in the opponent box, it's not just the responsibility of the coach, because there you need talent. You understand? The forward must to have a big abilities. How you said. You understand? Not until to reach there. It's my responsibility to create the dynamics, collective dynamics to reach the opponent box. But in the opponent box, if you don't have the feeling, if you don't have the abilities to finish, to kill, I cannot make nothing. You understand? And of course, our forwards, of course, they was a good forwards, but they didn't get in the first 11 the season before. Maybe because they had a better forwards. The same wingers, you understand? Because MQ was not in the first 11. Albert was not in the first 11. Chara, with 70 years old, comes from academy. Okay, Dodos was a good winger, a good forward, but just one guy. So was not. You understand? MQ was the most danger forward. Left the team in the middle of the season, gone to the FC Goa. Remember, Karim, the central back, got a important injury and got out. So was a very important players in that time, and I think started a new season without these 2 key players. You understand? I think was important reality without Karim and without MK.
It was obviously a tough season for you, but one of the highlights of the season was when you went to AFC Champions League Qualifiers and put on a good show away from home. And it was, I think, your first time coaching in a continental championship. And how was that experience for you?
Of course, was a big moment to the Mizoram state, to India country, to the football in India, because we represented the Mizoram, the India country, the football in India, in the highest level in Asia, I think, right? So if you compare Zolbahan from Iran and Aizawl FC, you cannot compare nothing, because imagine Zolbahan got to the quarters final of the Champions League. Zolbahan in that time, or almost all seasons, have a big squad, have a big players, you know. And Aizawl FC never the players, our players, no one had the experience of Champions League. Nobody. Maybe Andrei experience here in Europa League, but Andrei was 30 or 31 years old. You understand? When Andrei played the Europa League here in Europe with 25 or 26 years old, it makes difference. Alfred, okay, it's was our captain, was a very good player, but never played at the IFC. Same to the our central back Masi. Masi played to the Afghanistan national team, but you understand, it's different when you play the Champions League. And another players, maybe Mama, you remember Mama from East Bengala and Mogomagan? With a big experience, but of course Mama was the last season as a football player with 34 or 35 years old. It was not the same if you play with 26, 27 years old. So another players in the first 11, Diliana right back, Tea left back, Putea the midfielder. All these players with 18 or 19 years old, Davilash from the second division in the I-League. So I think we cannot compare. So I think our team had a big merit to keep the result until the 84 minute, until minute 84, 1-1 draw. You understand? Of course, we felt a big difficulties against them, because imagine to play against Zobahan, just one play, just one leg away in that stadium with -2 degrees. You understand? Because in India, our players played with 30, 35, 38 degrees. It's not the same play in Iran with -2 or -4 degrees. You understand? So I think these big difficulties gave to us a big merit, and was a very good result and a very good performance. And in that time, I said, and I still say, I think we called to represent India in the best way. You understand? Because nobody until that time got a result like Aizawl FC.
So thank you so much for speaking to us, Coach. It's been great catching up with you. We are all getting through this lockdown and quarantine period together, and hoping for it to end fast. And let's just hope we can be back on the pitch as soon as possible. And I really hope to see you back in India coaching a good club where you can have a long spell.
Well, that was a conversation. When talking to him, I kept thinking about how Mizoram football is dealing with this pandemic. The state level football they have is arguably the most diversified in the country. I mean, they have Independence Day Cup, the MFA Super Cup, then the district champions get to play in the qualifiers to get into the Mizoram Premier League, and there's a TV deal in place for it all. And this season it has all been put on hold. I recently interviewed MFA Secretary Mr. Tetia Hamar, and he talked extensively about the situation they are facing. You can read it on thefangarage.com. Now let's turn to the fan questions. I put up a tweet and got a few people sending in their queries. Manu Raghav asked, how do you think that this pandemic will affect football in the upcoming seasons? I think we've covered some of that in the first section of this podcast, and we will definitely revisit this topic in future episodes. By the way, Manu Raghav is one of the Dynamo's Ultras members we interviewed in one of the previous episodes, which you can go and listen to now. It was an interesting conversation. So Sayan asks, will Goan sides Dempo, Salgaonkar, Sporting Club de Goa regroup themselves again to play for Indian top national league senior level besides youth program after inclusion of promotion relegation in ISL? Hopefully, because some of them are already thinking about it. Tempo, I know, are considering a comeback. Salgaonkar have not given up, but I don't know what kind of commitment level they are at. I think the attitude is to see how the promotion relegation system is implemented, if there are any caveats that make it tough for independent clubs like them to come back. Sporting Club de Goa, I have no idea, man, but their academy is going on strong, and hopefully their first team also makes a comeback in the national level. But then again, it all depends on how the promotion relegation system is implemented, because we know in 2022-2023, that's the first season when the I-League champions will be promoted to ISL. But if some new tricks are used, like the licensing requirements are changed in a way that makes it very hard for a low budget club to get into ISL, then I don't know what's gonna happen. It would be a betrayal if that happens, and the whole point of having an open league system would be negated. But then we can't just assume all things will go wrong. What if AIFF and FSDL actually decide to implement it all in good faith in the correct way? So we just have to wait till 2022 to find out how this thing is going to turn out. Pratham is asking, could ATK Mohun Bagan versus Mumbai City become our version of Liverpool City? MB are a team with rich history. MCFC, there is some sort of similarity. Smiley face. I don't know, the biggest commonality between Mohun Bagan and Mumbai City FC is that Sunil Chhetri has not been at his best for either club. So if you want to call it low-key Sunil Derby, go ahead. By the way, have you noticed that this season, every ISL and I-League game is technically a derby? Deepit Gunnar asks, will we soon see the ISL have 4 dominant teams every season due to strong financial backing? Possibly in 10 years, yes, and that's not a bad thing. We need diversity in the philosophies the clubs are following. We need a relegation fight, we need a mid-table fight, and we need fights between rich clubs and poor clubs. All of those are important for the narrative of the league to progress. And if that entails creating an elite section of a few clubs who have more money than others, so be it. I think we will still see upsets. I think there is more room for upset in Indian football to happen. Because imagine if we start having teams like Aizawl FC, Real Kashmir and Shillong Lajong in ISL, even the best teams will struggle on away days in places like Aizawl and Srinagar and Shillong, and hopefully even Sikkim. Who knows? Abdul Qadir is saying, not any question, just explain about both ATKMB and EB deals so people will understand both are same. Well, East Bengal's details have not yet come out officially, but so far what we know is that both are not exactly the same, because the Mohun Bagan KGSPL deal is only about the football department of Mohun Bagan, while from what we're hearing, East Bengal and Sri Cement's deal encapsulates all of their sporting departments, including football, cricket, hockey, athletics. So the way these two institutions will be affected and changed by these deals will be very different, and their administration will also go through very different transformations. Which one is better for the clubs ultimately, that remains to be seen, and hopefully we will find out in the coming years. So Ishant Gupta is asking, is it too early to talk about club stadium and training center? Well, if you're talking about the training center and stadiums they have been assigned this season, I think the information is out there. ISL teams have been given grounds and stadiums in Goa, while second division and I-League teams have it in Kolkata. But if you're talking about their actual permanent stadiums and training centers, well, most clubs already have their training grounds. But when it comes to stadiums, actual new stadiums being built by clubs for their own use, it's definitely not the time to talk about that. Because Indian football has zero incentive for clubs to build new stadiums. I mean, just look at ISL or I-League if it was happening in normal home away format this season. 11 teams or 12 teams, that means what? 10 home games for one season? Let's add on 5 or 6 more if there is some sort of a home away knockout cup and they get to play in Asia, or there is a local league or something else. At best, that's 16 matches per season. So who is going to spend hundreds of crores to build a new stadium for 16 home matches per season? It makes no financial sense. It's much cheaper to just rent a stadium and get done with it. Look at Premier League or any other European league for the matter. Just in the league they have 19 or 20 home matches, plus a bunch in cups. Then there's the League Cup, then if they're in Europe they get another 5 or 6 matches. So just the first team gets about 30 home matches in a good season. 30 matches is a number where it becomes cheaper to own a stadium, own the land and actually build it, rather than renting it in the long term. So in your football system, you have to create a situation where clubs look at their fixtures and the number of matches they are getting and the kind of tickets they are selling and say that over 15 years it would be cheaper for us to actually just own the land and build a stadium than keep renting a government stadium which has an exponentially growing rent fee every year. So yeah, ISL needs to have a lot more teams. We may have a three-leg ISL from next season, 21-22 I'm talking about, where the number of home matches may go up from 10 to say 15. But even that's too short. We need guaranteed 25 home matches for the first team every season if we are going to convince the clubs to buy a patch of land near a population center and spend hundreds of crores to build their own stadium. As of now, East Bengal and Mohun Bagan have their own stadiums. So does Mohammedan Sporting. Even the JRD Sports Complex is owned by the Tata Group. Others don't expect. I don't think they have any reason to build their own stadiums anytime soon. And that's about it for this week. I know every time I say that we're gonna try to make it a weekly thing again, but every time I say that, another episode does not come out for 2 more months. But this time I will try to do it for real because we are closer to the season starting. A lot of stuff is happening at all the clubs, and in just few weeks, the second division clubs will be assembled in Kolkata, and we will have live football action happening on Indian soil. We will have Bengaluru United, we'll have Bhawanipur, we have Mohammedan Sporting who are getting resurrected. They're apparently getting a new investor. All of them will be fighting hard for a promotion to I League, which is going to be very exciting to watch. Personally, second division league, just by the level of urgency it's coming in with and the pioneer status it has as the first major football competition happening during COVID-19 pandemic in India, it's going to be very interesting to watch. I hope all the matches are streamed live at least. We will continue building up towards the season in the next episode, but for now, thank you for listening. Stay safe. We'll get through this.